Forest insects and diseases have considerable influence on forest health, trees outside forests, and other wooded lands. They can adversely affect tree growth, vigor and survival, yield and quality of wood and non-wood products, wildlife habitat, recreation, aesthetics, and cultural values. Forest insect pests and diseases may also limit plantation programs, cause abandonment of tree species, and necessitate clear-cutting large areas of infested trees. Therefore, early detection and proper control methods are crucial to minimize the damage of insect pests and diseases. Insects are generally small arthropods whose bodies are divisible into head, which has a pair of antennae, thorax, and abdomen. They have 3 pairs of legs. Some insects may have 2 pairs of wings, 1 pair, or no wings at all. Forest insect pests could be divided according to damage type. These are leaf-eating, boring, sucking or gall-forming, and seed nut insect pests. Insect pest outbreaks are either eruptive or periodic. Chronic pests seriously damage forest trees every year, and some insects even transmit plant pathogens. The change in shape and form of insects during development is known as metamorphosis. And there are 2 types. Complete metamorphosis remarkably changes the insect in 4 life stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. On the other hand, incomplete metamorphosis changes the insect relatively little throughout its life cycle. Egg, nymph, and adult. Insects are the most abundant animal species globally, more than 1 million species. Major forest insect pests belong to the order Isoptera, Hemiptera, Coleoptera, Hymenoptera, Lepidoptera, and Diptera. Termites are the main insect pests of wooden structures. Order Isoptera is composed of about 2,600 species and 7 families worldwide. The order Hemiptera is a diverse group of insects made up of over 80,000 species. Some species transmit plant pathogens, such as mycoplasma and virus. They all have piercing and sucking mouth type. The order Coleoptera is the largest order of insects and makes up about 40% of all known insect species. Their front wings, elytra, which cover the hind wings, are thickened and hard. They have chewing mouthparts and cause a wide range of damage to trees. Some species are defoliators, while others bore in the cambium layer. Insects of the order of Hymenoptera could either be harmful or beneficial. Sawflies, wood wasps, gall wasps, carpenter bees, and carpenter ants seriously damage forest trees. On the other hand, honeybees are pollinators and are natural enemies of harmful insects such as moths and wasps. Lepidoptera is the 2nd largest order of insects. Butterflies and moths belong to this order. The larvae have chewing mouthparts that could seriously damage forest trees. Some species can even reach outbreak levels and cause widespread damage over millions of hectares. Dipteras only have 1 pair of functional wings. Their 2nd pair of wings, halters, are too small and knobbed. Mosquitoes are vectors of human diseases such as dengue, malaria, and yellow fever, while gall midge and leaf miner flies infest forest trees. Forest managers' most important job is to conduct surveys to monitor forest insect pests and their damage. Through surveys, the following information is collected: the status of crucial pest species on a local, regional, or countrywide basis, the basis for decisions for or against pest management, and the most proper strategies and tactics to be taken to reduce damage. Forest insect monitoring is designed to answer the following questions. Monitoring often involves estimating the number of insects present. It is impossible to count all insects in a hectare of forest land or even on a single tree. Therefore, sampling schemes provide reliable estimates of insect numbers that meet the monitoring objectives. The protocols should consider the sample unit, sample size, where to sample, when to sample, and how often to sample. Knowledge of the chemical ecology of insects has provided several tools to monitor forest insects without direct surveillance. Traps baited with semiochemicals, pheromones, chiromones, or a combination of the two are widely used to monitor invasive insects, increase of the number of insects, flight phenology of target insect, and timing of insecticide application. Trapping systems are relatively easy and low cost to deploy, maintain, and collect. Remote sensing has broad applications in forest assessment. Damage caused by forest insects such as tree mortality, defoliation, or discoloration can be detected from a long distance. Sketch mapping, airborne photos and videos, and satellite imagery are some of the best remote sensing methods that have been developed for aerial observation. Plant disease is a state that interrupts or modifies vital vegetation function. Plant disease can be classified based on the primary causal agent, abiotic or biotic, and as either infectious or non-infectious. Abiotic or non-living causal agents are a very common cause of non-infectious tree diseases. Examples of abiotic agents are nutritional deficiencies, soil compaction, salt injury, low temperature, and strong winds. Biotic or living agents, also known as pathogens, cause infectious tree diseases. These infectious pathogens may infect all types of plant tissue. Examples of biotic agents are mycoplasmas, fungi, bacteria, nematodes, viruses, and viroid. Fungi cause many infectious tree diseases. Fungi are composed of living filaments that grow in a mass whose size and shape are determined by the environment. The filaments secrete extracellular enzymes to help degrade organic compounds and then absorb nutrients through their cell walls. Fungi are heterotroph, eats other plants or animals for energy and nutrients, and reproduce using spores. Most of them produce both sexual and asexual spores. Bacteria are tiny single-celled prokaryotic organisms that cause hundreds of plant diseases. Plant pathogenic bacteria can be classified as either gram-positive or gram-negative. Nematodes are non-segmented roundworms. They are the most abundant multicellular animals and are found in most areas of the earth. Most nematodes feed on bacteria, other small life forms, and organic matter. Some specialized nematodes, about 10%, are plant parasites. Most of the viruses that infect plants are composed of two macromolecule types, a nucleic acid genome, and one or more proteins that form a coat or capsid. All viruses are obligate parasites, meaning unable to reproduce outside a living host cell. Trees being exposed to lower temperatures are quite common. This can damage plant cells primarily by inducing the formation of intercellular and intracellular ice crystals. Drought is probably responsible for more plant damage than any other abiotic factor. However, excessive soil moisture can also damage and kill trees. Excessive soil moisture can deprive roots and other underground structures of oxygen. Too much moisture could also allow pathogens and saprophytes in the soil to invade tree roots. Plants can be damaged by either excessive or insufficient amounts of light. Sunscald, or sunburn, is an injury caused by the intense radiation from the sun. Insufficient light is more common in plants grown inside buildings, homes, and greenhouses, especially in the winter months. For growth and reproduction, all plants require 20 essential elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. If these elements are not sufficient in soil, plants will suffer from nutrient deficiency disease. Ozone, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxide are the most common pollutant that damage plants. Other pollutants include peroxyacetyl nitrate, PAN, hydrogen fluoride, and ethylene. Herbicides are used to manage undesired plant species, but they sometimes harm desired plants as well. Common reasons for herbicide damage are misapplication, drift, water movement, and soil persistence. Diagnosis of plant disease identifies the disease's nature and determines the causal agent. We can use several diagnostic methods to identify tree diseases. Symptoms are the expression of disease by a plant as a response to the activities of the biotic or abiotic agents. Symptoms include leaf spot, blotch, blight, cankers, bleeding, damping off, mosaic, mottle, yellowing, leaf roll, galls, witch's broom, and wilt. Biotic agents, pathogens, often produce signs on or in diseased plants. Some signs are visible to the naked eye, while others can only be seen with a hand lens or a microscope. Viruses are so small that they can be seen only under the high magnification of an electron microscope. Pest management consists of strategies and tactics. Basic strategies include no action, prevention, and direct control or suppression. Tactics, on the other hand, are tools to prevent or reduce pest damage. These include regulator tactics, cultural tactics, mechanical tactics, biological controls, semiochemicals, and chemical pesticides. Regulatory tactics aim to prevent the introduction of exotic insects or pathogens, and prevent or reduce their spread in case they get into the area. Regulator tactics involve three activities: inspection of imported goods, pest risk analysis, and establishment of quarantine zones. The objective of cultural tactics is to reduce the probability of pest buildup. Main activities of cultural tactics include matching tree species for planting with suitable growing sites, controlling stocks through intermediate harvests or through thinning to maintain tree vigor, and timely harvesting of forests when they reach maturity. Mechanical tactics include removal of all infected trees in order to destroy insect pests and pathogens. A biological control agent, BCA, is an organism that suppresses pests or pathogens. Natural enemies such as predators, parasitoids, and entomopathogenic microorganisms reduce the population density of forest insect pests. Microbial control is the use of microorganisms such as fungi, bacteria, viruses, and nematodes to cause disease in insects. Various types of interspecies antagonism include hyperparasites and predation, antibiotic-mediated suppression, lytic enzymes and other byproducts of microbial life, competition, and induction of host resistance. Semiochemicals such as pheromones and chiromones can also be used to control insect pests through mass trapping, anti-aggregation, and mating disruption. Traps baited with aggregation pheromone have been used for mass trapping of bark and ambrosia beetles. Several pheromones emitted by bark beetles have an anti-aggregation function, which repels other bark beetles. Semiochemicals are also used to mask the insect's natural sex pheromone, confusing male insects to follow false pheromone trails, causing them to ignore female insects' calls. This reduced probability of finding mates leads to the eventual cessation of breeding and thus ending insect infestation. Chemical insecticides, fungicides, nematicides, and antibiotics are still the most effective tactics for forest insect and tree disease management. Although effective, chemical pesticides should be used as the last resort because they cause several side effects such as environmental pollution, toxicity to human and non-target organisms, residue, and insects becoming resistant to pesticide. Insect pest management is essential for an effective forest management. Improving pest management involves increased research on pests and their control, increased taxonomic and diagnostic expertise to improve pest identifications, better monitoring and detection, development of detection methodologies and diagnostic tools, research on new control technologies, and an overall increase in national capacity in forest health protection.